Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa Budzinski, and I'm with Gilda's Club, Grand Rapids. We are a free cancer and grief support community. If you're interested in learning about us, finding out what we do and how we do that, you can let us know on this Facebook post, or you can email us, or you can check out our website at gildasclubgr.org, or just give us a call at the clubhouse 453-8300. We're so glad that you could join us today in our virtual clubhouse. All of our programming right now is virtual. We really want everyone to be safe and stay healthy, and we hope that your families are feeling good. Today I have with me Beth Nelson, and she's been with Gilda's Club for 20 years, Beth, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you. It's always a delight.
In a long time, so it's,
yes.
It's great. So
yeah, we really miss seeing each other.
Yeah, for sure. So
yeah. Beth was the first program director at Gilda's Club, and she helped us put all of the programming together, organize all of that, was the lead program director for what, 18 years?
About that.
Yeah. So we're so grateful to you for all of your wisdom and all your work, and just really helping make the reality of Gilda's Club come true for our community. It's really important.
Thank you. Working with our members has been such a blessing in my life. It's just amazing. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I feel pretty blessed to have worked with you all these years. So yeah, it's good. So today we're going to bring you just a discussion, a topic, really just the beginning of a discussion, because I think you could talk about this topic for a long time. And I think that it is important to talk about it. Give yourself permission to talk to yourself, to others, or to somebody, a counselor, or come to Gilda's and talk to someone there. But it's about the grief that surrounds COVID. And so I'm just wondering, what do COVID and the holidays have to do with grief, Beth?
Well, thank you. Yeah, you're right. It is something we should be talking about, because COVID is such a looming part of our environment right now. And it does affect our grieving processes, and also will be affected by the holidays. When we think of grief, often we think of those who have had a loved one die. And certainly that is a devastating grief that many people have experienced. Yeah. And yet there are many other losses in our lives that we do grieve, such as some examples might be job loss or relationship changes, health changes. Simply getting older brings on a lot of changes that sometimes have difficult effects upon our emotional well-being. And COVID itself has certainly added all types of loss to our lives. I think that as the holidays approach, we're going to feel those losses even more deeply. Some of those losses that I'm talking about might include not seeing our loved ones on a regular basis, just not hugging that friend or that child that we're so used to having as a part of our daily lives, or decreased social action with friends and even with strangers. When we go to the store, we might run into a neighbor, or just, chatting with the clerk at the store. Those are all experiences that we're missing right now in our lives, or a lot of us are. Also, feeling less independent. I mean, we're not shopping for groceries, and I know a lot of other people are not feeling comfortable going to the grocery store. And a lot of people are saying they won't be shopping for the holidays. It's just too risky for them.
Yeah.
So there's so many different dynamics that COVID adds, and it seems like the holidays is just going to deepen those. I
Yeah.
see your puppy back there.
I apologize. My dog decided to wake up. So everybody, this is Gary. He's my work partner.
Uh-huh.
I do say to him now, come on, let's go to work. And he comes in.
Well, I'm
So
glad you have a partner available. So
yeah, he's my coworker.
I think more and more too, we're feeling less secure in where we are and what we are doing and who we're with. And we have to make so many hard choices about that. And like maybe over the summer, I heard people talking about, do you think we should go to this wedding? It will be outside. Should I go to my grandson's birthday party? It's so important to me. And those are some hard choices that we've had to deal with. And inside we feel the loss of those things if we aren't able to do them.
Yeah, I think there's a whole level of that piece that you said about grief in those decisions, people asking you to do things and then feeling like you're just saying no and no. And it almost feels like you're rejecting them. And you don't want to reject them. You want to be present. You, of course, want to be present and available for these important events in people's lives. And it does, it's really compounded. Yeah.
Well, you just shared an experience with me about one of your nephews running up to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was and this was another tough thing. There was, our nephew was getting married, and right 2 days before the wedding, one of the brother-in-laws was diagnosed, two of the brother-in-laws were diagnosed with COVID. And so then they had to scale way back, even though they were doing a social distancing wedding, they had to scale way back. So then we were doing a social distancing reception of only 20 people at this park. And my grandnephew ran up to me with open arms, Aunt Melissa, Aunt Melissa. And I had to stop him and not hug him. And it was so devastating to me because it isn't how I typically do things. It's not who I am. I'm a hugger and and so then there's this awkwardness and this I feel like this loss of piece of relationship, Yeah.
Yeah, and that really, really sticks with you for a long time, those feelings, and they're easy to bring back up. And those feelings, it might be that feeling of loss, numbness, that empty feeling, even that you couldn't give him that hug. And for a lot of people, that turns into a feeling of loneliness.
Yes.
A lot of people are doing this on their own. If you live alone, that's a whole new dynamic to manage with COVID, especially as we see the numbers right now rising and more people being affected. It's it can feel like a very lonely world. And that can even turn into anger. Well, who's not mad about this,
Right.
It's been a very, very tough road and will continue to be, as it seems, for a while. So
yeah, I agree.
And I think when the holidays come on, we're going to also feel that loss of traditions that we're used to. We might be used to every Christmas Eve, we went to a particular restaurant with our best friends, or on Christmas Day, everybody brought food, and whether or not we're going to be able to do these is going to be a big choice and a lot of decision making as we try to put our health and safety first during the holidays.
Yeah. And I would think that people also are getting a lot of decision fatigue. Like having, especially now as we're coming towards it's all of these, and then things might change and then more decisions and then more decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had an incident kind of like you had, only I was actually in one of our support groups when one of our members, they were talking about COVID because in the holidays, it's getting more and more, looming closer and closer to make those decisions.
Right.
And she was talking about, they decided they were not going to see their families either at Thanksgiving or at Christmas. And she said she they told their kids, they were okay with it, they understood. And yet she went to the place where she thought about the 15 stockings she filled every year and hung on the fireplace. That she wouldn't be able to do that this year because she doesn't feel like she can go to the dollar store or to Myers or wherever to pick up those little gifts.
Yeah.
And that really hit home for me because I also fill about 13 stockings, and I have come up with some creative ways how to make that work because
Yeah.
that's a huge loss. And those traditions, they can be very difficult to give up and to figure out, how to manage. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. How do you manage those feelings? What do you think might help us to feel better?
well, I think, first of all, there is a name for this grief we're feeling, and it's called disenfranchised grief. And I think that is grief that's not always acknowledged as real grief by others or even by ourselves. And I think, first of all, we need to say, yes, this is grief, and this is something I need to learn to deal with and learn to compensate. I think you need to pay attention to the feelings, either by talking to someone, perhaps journaling, just lots of times just getting it out in the open can very much help, just getting it laid out there, to deal with and to think about.
Sure.
Also, we can think about our strengths. We all have had other experiences in our lives where we've experienced a loss, and that we've had to deal with, and we've managed it. So to bring on those strengths that we learned during those times. We can find new ways to stay connected. Maybe a phone call is a new way if you're not used to talking to some people on the phone. So,
Yeah.
doing those things and, the texting, the video chats, actually writing cards, maybe this is the one year you take time to mail something, whether cards or packages to other people.
Yeah.
To just finding new and different ways to maintain those connections. Lots of times we need to find a new routine and some things that we can include that can help with those feelings. We might be learning something new. Also, exercise is huge. We have had really good weather for walking. I think being out, doing things in nature, just finding some other ways to help our emotional health to grow and to stay sturdy. I think maybe trying new hobbies, getting enough sleep, making sure that and to kind of perhaps get this into a routine for yourselves. I think one important thing is to start maybe to limit your news diet.
Mm-hmm.
In the last few days, we've probably all been watching the news a lot, and sometimes we can overdo that. We can watch news 24/7, and sometimes hearing the same thing over and over that's not such good news can be really difficult and can make managing those feelings more difficult. So perhaps limiting that, and then just taking comfort in your own creativity. We all have creativity within us, and to try and grow in that and in our thinking, that can be pretty exciting,
Yeah.
So those are some ways to manage some of those feelings. And there are others, and I think the more you talk with others about it, the other ideas you can come up with.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think especially at Gilda's Club, we have, really utilized this Zoom, which we're using right now, to stay connected, to at least see other people's faces, hear their voices. So if people are home alone, well, even myself, I find myself feeling very lonely. Our son moved away, so it's me and Gary all day long. And, and I'm used to having another human in the house, and he's not here anymore. And even though I have a husband that comes home in the evenings, I still I feel that loneliness of being here alone all day long. And so it's really important to be able to see and talk to other people like we're doing right now. Yeah. Yeah.
And those pets can be pretty important too.
Oh,
know?
for sure. I do
Yeah.
talk to him a lot. He knows a lot of secrets.
Yeah, I'll
But,
bet.
yeah. And he gives great comfort for sure. Yeah. Yep. So,
I think some too, if you just, we're going to need to make new decisions with the holidays coming up. And
yeah.
I think if we just, the earlier we make those decisions, the easier it might be. And yet when we make those decisions, we really have to consider the most vulnerable people within our circle. It might be okay for like my children to get together with their children, but then they think hard and fast, should they come to our house where we're much more vulnerable because of our age and our health. And I think you have to really consider that most vulnerable person and respect what they are asking for.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say, well, we decided not to go and my kids just went, oh no. And that would made it harder for them, you know? So we really have to respect the decisions of the most vulnerable people that are in our relationships. So
I think that's a good way to look at that. Yeah.
and I think sometimes the earlier you make the decision, the easier it is. It gives you more time to bring out that creativity,
Yeah.
you know?
What are some other ways you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about if people do decide to get together, they really have to respect what our medical community and scientific community has put out there as far as the things we've heard 100 times, but small numbers, wearing masks. How are you going to share food if you're going to share food? How long of a time do we spend together? They're saying the more time that it almost accumulates, you
Yes.
know, and so we have to really think about the amount of time. I also think we tend to let our guard down with our loved ones and our families. We've done that ourselves. You start out, everybody has a mask on, you know, and you say we're going to do this, and then all of a sudden this enemy is so invisible. And, you know, it's just like all of a sudden you find yourself letting your guard down. And I think as things are on the rise now that we're not outside so much, we have to really watch our guard with the people that we love the most and really respect each other if we do decide to get together.
That's right.
Yeah, and if we do this right, the next holidays might just be back to normal.
Right.
Which would be really awesome. So
Yeah, that would be great.
yeah. And there have been, and just to give some examples of some creative, just very specific creative ideas, and everybody needs to come up with their own, but just some that people have said to me, either or I've read about. Someone said they were going to celebrate in July. You know, they were going
Oh,
to
that's a good idea.
Christmas presents and make sure they can celebrate in July when they can be outside for sure, you know,
Yeah.
if nothing else. I had one couple say that they were going to cook the same food and deliver it to their children, I thought it should be the other way around, but she enjoys cooking so much.
Yeah.
She still wants to cook that Christmas dinner, and they're going to drop them off at their children's homes. If, there's also a lot of very creative things on Zoom now, you know, especially to do with children, with games and so on. I saw actually looked it up. It's called Jingle Ring. And it's a website where you can make an appointment for the kids to talk to St. Nicholas. And so you make the appointment, and when that comes up closer to the holidays, they can actually get on and talk to him. And there's a lot of that out there now. It's just a matter of spending some time and doing some research. Because I know a lot of people are getting a little over Zoomed. And so I think when you start using it more in your personal life, you have to kind of pick and choose and make it, you know, a fun and new experience. So
yeah,
a lot of people have also told me they're still going to decorate just the same, whether anybody's coming or not. And that can be a real, you know, uplifting experience to still put those decorations out, because that is part of the tradition that you can still make happen, whether people are coming to your house or not. drive-by drop-offs of gifts, just there's so many fun things like that. One family was going to mail her recipe for creamed corn to everyone. Everybody's making that for sure. And then they'll get on Zoom and, eat it together.
Oh, that's great.
Just a lot of fun things. And the more people you talk to, the more ideas that pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really great. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that leads into, this piece of gratitude, right? Of
Yeah.
trying to find as a method of helping us to feel better, but also as a expression that, I mean, I have so much gratitude just hearing those creative ways that you can do the holidays. It kind of, I'm feeling kind of excited right now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to try some of those.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you have a lot of creative blood. You'll come up with some things and fun things. Well, and I think, we still have a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Even generally, all the people who still take care of us, oh my goodness, especially the people in the hospitals who work in the hospitals, who are there every day. They're so brave to be there and to be able to take care of us. And, that goes down to all of our essential workers.
Yeah.
That grocery store clerk, the truck driver who's driving across the country. We have so many things to be grateful for, that this imposition, as hard as it is, and as many losses as it brings, we always live with the hope. And we are pretty sure of the hope that this will not last. This isn't going to be here forever.
No.
And we just want to get through it as safe and healthy as we can, so we can go back to our old normal.
Right.
That's all most people want, is to be like it was before. So
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Well, and we'll have learned, we're different people, right? We'll have learned something, and hopefully be able to apply that as we move forward too, so that we don't end up in a situation like this again.
Absolutely. We're all going to be smarter.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, we certainly all know how to use technology way better than we used to. Can't say we're not technologically able anymore.
It's so true. We've learned a lot of things we didn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have found it personally important for me to find things that I'm grateful for because of COVID, things that have happened, that I wouldn't have taken the time or have had the opportunity if it wasn't for COVID. Like, I really enjoyed working from home this summer and being able to just go in my backyard and on my breaks, work in my garden. And
yeah,
that was a lot of fun, really. Yeah.
and this is the same theory that we hear from our cancer groups all the time. Not that we would say cancer is a gift, but the gifts that cancer bring them.
Yeah.
They talk about those all the time, the opportunities, the people they've met, the things that they would have never tried otherwise. And that's what we're talking about, what we can take from this experience,
Right.
and flip it up and make it, part of our lives in a positive way. So,
and that's really one of the things that we have control over in a time where we feel like we've lost a lot of decisions or controls in our life, is we can have control over our perspective. And
absolutely.
and looking for that learning, looking for that positive, looking for something that is a gift to you in a difficult situation. Yeah.
Viktor Frankl is a great philosopher. The one thing he always said is, your attitude is the one thing people can never take from you.
Right.
And if you can keep that, things seem a lot better.
Yeah, I would agree. And it really helps when you share it with other people, and you share what is it? Somebody said in one of our groups to me the other day, or to the group, a sorrow shared is a sorrow halved, and joy shared is doubled. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's so cool. And that's so true, because it really does, talking about the real like we did today helps us to get to that place. Even it happened just right here in our conversation. So we talked about that tough stuff and how hard it was. And then we got to this place of creativity and gratitude. And
Mhm.
I can feel the levity,
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And that's where we need to try and be as often as we can. So,
Yes, I agree.
so today it
Oh,
might be walking out in the sunshine.
it's really quite beautiful out there. Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Beth, and thank you for all of this really important information and the beginning, I'm going to say, of this very important conversation
Right.
of,
Thank you, Melissa. It's always
yeah.
good to see your bright and cheery face. So,
Oh, it's always great to be with you.
yeah.
If
Okay.
anyone watching wants more information on this topic specifically, or on what Gilda's Club does, or is on a cancer or a grief journey and would like some support, we'd love to talk with you about our free program. All you have to do is give us a call, 616-453-8300, or look us up on our website at gildasclubgr.org. We hope that you have a safe holiday and that you are well, and find some creative ways. Oh, I want to invite you also, if you have some creative ways that you're managing the holidays, let us know. We would love to hear it. We would love to hear what you have to say. Just send us a Facebook post or whatever. We would love to see those and share those. So everyone be well and take care.
Bye-bye.